One. Welcome to your best bets. It is the Fort Wayne City Golf Championship this week, and we are convening this Sunday night to discuss it, preview it. It's an exciting week. It's one of the biggest weeks we have in local golf in Fort Wayne. It's a tournament that I think everyone that plays local golf really wants to win. They pinpoint on their calendar. So it's, you can't really overrate this enough. Joined by two gentlemen playing in the tournament this week, two exempt players. One is Zach Fitzgerald. Zach, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Johnny Strouser is here. Johnny, hello.
Good evening, and yeah, that is a very accurate description of this golf tournament. I'm very much looking forward to it, and this last year we did a lot of stuff previewing the city championship that really got me fired up for it, and looking forward to talking about the golf course and a little bit about the event, and I'm getting a little bit more excited about it.
Absolutely. You guys are there this week. I'll be there. We just finished the city qualifier last weekend to fill the field. For those that aren't aware, if you've been under a rock for the last 20 years, exempt players are usually made up of the top 60 from the prior year, and the rest of the field is filled out based on the qualifying results. I was a little surprised that the qualifier at Cherry took, I think 84 was made the cut and had some alternates at 84. I was frankly a little surprised, but I think I say that almost every year. I always think it's going to be somewhere around 80. Then I don't know what the conditions were like last Saturday. I can't remember what happened yesterday. So I don't know if it was playing a little tougher that day, or Cherry just generally could play tougher if with hazards and water. But here we are. We've filled out the field, and we're at Pine Valley this week. I think I've been on record saying it's one of my favorite golf courses, maybe my favorite golf course in the area. I believe you guys like it as well. And we'll get to the golf course in a second, but let's do a little state of your game at this point as we get into the week of City Championship. Zach, I know you've had some injuries, some health concerns just for the large part of this year, but I feel like your game is, from what you have said, as rounding and form as good as it's been all year.
I mean, physically, I played the last 2 days at Coyote, 18 holes each. I'm a little sore today, but nothing that I wouldn't be able to get through a third day with. It's certainly better than the pain I was feeling earlier in the year. I About 2 months ago, when I was kind of struggling with contact, I went and bought some ZX7s and have been playing them, and they had some different shafts than what I regularly play, and been hitting them well, but not great. So I decided to go back to the blades this week and really, really hit them well. So that's a really good positive. I got a new putter that seems to be more stable for me. So all in all, I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm certainly not saying I'm going to win city. I want, my goal this year is a top 20, and I think that that's achievable at Pine Valley. It's a golf course that I really do like. I don't get to play it often, but when I do, I kind of do really enjoy it. It seems to kind of suit my game where you don't necessarily have to hit it really far, and you kind of just get to play placement a little bit there. So definitely a city that I'm excited for. It's always in great condition, and all the members there are always welcoming and 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 nice. So yeah, excited certainly.
I think it was that first week of June we played in that team event up at Noble Hawk in the Three Rivers Tour, and I think that was the week that you had changed irons. Now you're going back.
It's the best I hit them that week. So created a whole bunch of bad habits from kind of going 11 to 12 grams heavier into an X shaft, and immediately on the range when I changed back to the old ones, it was like shaking hands with an old friend. So felt confident with the ZX7s. They're great clubs, and certainly easy to hit if you hit them on the center. But I felt like out of the rough, I didn't have control, and I felt like on half shots, I always pulled them. And didn't really have control. And it left me a gap between my 50 and my pitching wedge of like 30 yards. So that's too much. All in all, I'm excited and happy that I went back to the irons that I had. And I think that a top 20 is doable, and with a good week, maybe a top 10.
Yeah, yeah. Going back to some old feels, good Tiger line that never sometimes it never hurts. And now you're on record of what the goal is for the week, so now we can hold you
Mhm.
accountable after
Mhm.
this week. Johnny, we played I think for the first time all year, like 3 weeks ago out of Pine Valley with our friend Brady, and you shot as easy as a 67 as I've seen in quite a while. One of the best rounds I've seen in the last couple of years. So I feel like your game is in a good spot, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, we did we did play and played good, and there's really, after that round, I think there's only one way to go, and that's worse, type of thing. But no, I like the golf course. I no, I love the golf course. The layout is good. The greens are usually pretty true because they're bent grass greens. So it was really rolling the ball well. Been doing that quite a bit here lately. Uh, on my off weeks here, playing a lot of golf and hitting it actually quite a lot better than I had all of last year. Found that when you get old or when you hit certain ages in your life, your body changes and things happen. And I noticed a couple of years ago when I turned 40 that I lost any sort of distance that I never had, but it just completely kind of evaporated from my golf game, and I became just hitting a popcorn ball down the fairway and hitting it on the green and two putting, which isn't a bad way to play, but it was just kind of a shocker a couple of years ago. So it's been an uphill battle the last couple of years to get a little bit longer, regain some of that distance that I lost over a winter, and to be able to hit the ball because you still in these events you don't have to hit it long to play well, but it's certainly, as you guys know, it helps. So working on that, um, hitting the driver really straight. The irons, I seem to have kind of gotten into a groove where hitting a lot of greens. And lately, found a putter that really just suits my eye. Had played around with it a little bit last year for fun. Um, and what's funny is I think I won a couple events last year, or maybe one. And the one that I won, I know I won. I played with that putter and I benched it immediately just because I just didn't quite feel comfortable with it. But just started to trust it at the beginning of the season. And I mean, you saw it when I shot that 67 or 68 or whatever it was. I probably made,
Mm,
I don't know, 150 feet or more worth of putts. I mean, it
yeah.
was going in from everywhere, and that's the one thing that I've noticed that's been a little bit different with making more of the longer ones, which has been a goal for the past 5 to 7 years of mine, is just getting not we're not going to make we know we're not going to make a lot of 20-foot putts. We're not going to make a lot of 25-foot putts, but I always felt that for my skill level that the percentage compared to what I should be making was lower than even that. Like there was just no chance. So putter is finally coming around a little bit. It's got its good days, it's got its bad days. Um, but I feel, you know, as we're getting towards the end of the summer here, that although the distance is a little bit of a concern. I mean, you guys have played plenty of golf with me. You know that I'm not overly concerned with a deficiency in my game. I mean, I think I kind of downplay it a lot more than uh, or I play it up a lot more than what it actually the issue is that if it truly exists. So we'll see. I mean, these young guys are real good. They hit it, 30, 40, 50 yards by me, but I kind of like it just adds to the motivation and the challenge of beating. Now, when I first moved down to Fort Wayne, I was the kid wanting to beat the old guys. Now I'm kind of getting into the old guys wanting to beat the kids. So, it's just one of those things that it's good. It's a good time of the year for the game, and we're gonna give them hell come Saturday morning, and hopefully we'll come out strong and feel comfortable with the game there. So, I'm excited, and we'll have to see.
Yeah, two things. Speaking of, with you're talking about the distance and so I liken it to a little bit like a Colin Morikawa situation where you're okay, they're 20, 30 yards in front of you, but you're such a good mid to long iron player or what have you coming in the greens that I don't think it's too big of a concern. I feel like I know your game pretty well. I think we've been playing golf for 17, 18 years. So and that's what I saw a couple weeks ago. Is I was impressed by just how many shots you were hitting pin high. Your yardage coming in with your approach shots was pretty spot on. It's always a bonus to make the 15 to 20 footers, but you were just giving yourself a lot of chances, and that's what this game is about. And I think you continue to do that. You should have a really good week. It does help to make 150 foot worth of putts into whatever it was, but the baseline when you're hitting it that well is somewhere around par at minimum, and that's good. Yeah, so good to hear where you guys are at with the game. I expect you guys to both have a nice solid week in front of you. Let's talk about the golf course a little bit. I think the city's been at Pine Valley twice, and I think in the last 10 years, like 2012, I believe, and then was it 2019 where it's most recently played there. Par 71. I feel like it's a very fair test and that it offers you a lot of chances to make birdies, and then there's some holes where you're fairly happy and content to come away with par. And I feel like that's a good test for us as amateurs, where we're at. And as Zach mentioned, it's not overly long. Certain holes can play longer from the tips. I expect day one to be shorter, like a typical city setup. We saw it last year, autumn, when I think we were stunned how short it was. It was set up early on, and then it just got progressively tougher throughout the week. What I really like about this course, though, is you might have a lot of 8-9 iron wedges in, but it can really punish you with some false fronts, some runoffs on certain parts of certain greens that really make it a tough test for you to get up and down. They flip the nines here, so what used to be 12, the par 5, now number 3. I think of that green is really tricky. If you lay up and you miss the wedge, then you got a really challenging up and down. I think of holes like even like 8, now 8, what used to be 17. That green is diabolical, and you miss it left on the wrong side, and you got your short side yourself with the chip. I mean, I really like some of those green complexes where it creates really tricky, even if you hit the green, potential 2 putts, or if you miss the green, up and downs. Zach, you want to speak to that a little bit?
So you started talking about the greens and them being tricky, and it's so funny. The first hole you mentioned was now 3, or what from the last time I played, known as 12.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one that I remember that I'm not long enough to get there, so I have to lay up, and that was one that was tricky for me. I always remember 7 being the old 7, which I think is 16 now. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Being an extremely difficult hole. And then, gosh, I have to do the numbers. 12 now, I guess, always being that green's kind of heart shaped, and if I remember correctly, you can really get yourself into a bad spot there. So, out of the 3 of us, I certainly know the golf course the least. I'm excited to see it play in reverse, because I think that the golf course sets up better that way. And aside from that, I've played it probably 6 or 7 times in my life. 3 of those being at the last city, and one of them being at an inner club. So I don't get the opportunity to play it often, but I have a reasonable idea in my head of what it is. Are they playing, what is it, 15, old 15? So that would be what now, 6?
The par 5 along the houses there.
Is that going to be a 5 or a 4?
I think it just depends on which tees.
I think it's a par 5, because they've got those tees way back that they can play at like 570 or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I remember that one kind of being a bit tricky too when you lay up, because
Mhm.
I just remember getting in trouble one of the days. And then number one was the one that really bit me. The old number one, which I guess would be number 10
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
bit me all 3 days in the previous city. So there are definitely some holes out there that can bite you. But like you said, if you play well and you hit the ball smartly, there are a lot of birdie opportunities out there. So it's a great tournament golf course.
Yeah, Johnny, the what used to be the back nine, now the front nine, I feel like is the more scoreable, advantageous nine. So now if you're starting on the front Saturday, I think of holes 1 through 3 as real potential birdie opportunities, as opposed to if you're starting on the back and you have that tee shot on 10 if say it's playing back from 475 par 4 and it's a very narrow shoot. It's kind of two different tales there as you're talking about starting points. But the front nine now, I mean, there's a lot of chances for birdies on that side.
There is, and just for the people who are like old and new and whatever. So if you played the golf course last year, holes 1 through 8, which start on the clubhouse side, that's now 10 through 17, and then you go across the street when you started on hole 10. That's hole 1 now. So you go across the street to start out, but the 9 and 18 are still the same. So you still have that good finishing hole on 18 there. Yeah. So the front nine. The new front nine, when you go across the street, you've got the first 3 holes are pretty scoreable. You want to hit good tee shots though, and that's what this golf course really demands is getting the ball in the fairway, because if you just miss the fairway, there's a good chance that you might have a second shot altered by some trees, and they usually grow the rough fairly long to where it's hard to come over bunkers and have enough spin to hit a shot that's close. So yeah, the first hole you hit a good tee shot, you've got a wedge that's going in. The second hole you've got an 8-iron or less, and then the third, if you play it smart, driver and let's say a 4-iron or hybrid, you've got a half wedge that's going in. So you've got scoreable clubs coming in right there. So it was always an interesting way when they had it the old way, when that was the back nine, because it was scoreable. So the scores could get kind of volatile. You could make birdies, but you could also get on the wrong side of some fairways or in the rough and have some issues there. But yeah, you do want to definitely get off to a good start. And you're right. Piggybacking off of what you said on new hole number 10, 10 is a real tough hole. It's a real long par 4, and you've got to hit a draw to basically keep it in the fairway there. If you hit a cut like a lot of people do, you're going to have to hug it just to keep it inside, hug the tree just to keep it inside the right side of the fairway there. So it's always a tough one there, and it's got the big huge oak and maple trees that make it tough. But all in all, I didn't originally like it because I was like, well, the scoring side's on the front side now rather than the back. But now I like it because it's like, you can get off to a good start, and you could conceivably shoot 1-2 under par heading to that 10th hole there and just kind of hang on. And if you're looking at even one over par, something like that on the back nine, you're still going to shoot a 71, 72, something like that.
You talk about 10. It's weird because you think about difficult holes usually having strategically placed bunkers off the tee or water or something to that hole. That hole is as straight as you can get, and there is nothing on that hole except just distance and the trees on both sides. I mean, but other than that, it's you're like, okay, I just got to hit a straight ball and then have a 200-yard shot in probably, and then I gotta, and that green is really that's pretty tricky for a 4 or 5-iron coming in. So that hole is a handful. A couple other roadblock holes I want to talk about, and this hole you can if you don't hit a good tee-ball, it can be a roadblock. If you hit a good tee-ball, I think then it's an automatic birdie hole. But that's the par 5 13th, what used to be number 4. I love this hole because I think it's so unique and it's kind of uncomfortable off the tee, especially for a guy like me who cuts the ball. But that par five is a dog leg left a little bit, but you basically have a pond on the left, and then past the pond you have a fairway, but it really narrows up with a couple different tree lines. Then you got bunkers on the right, where probably a lot of guys could hit maybe a draw 3-wood off the bunkers and maybe still get there in 2. For someone like me, I have to hit a cut. I usually line up down the left side, or kind of just on the right half of the water, and man, hope I just hit a hard cut. But man, if you get the ball in the fairway there, then all of a sudden you got probably inside 220, and then you can make a birdie. So I really like that hole as far from a strategy standpoint, because I think you can play it multiple different ways. And then I think what is probably the hole that people think about, at least around here when they think of Pine Valley, is now 16. And it feels like every time I get on number 16, and I just played it a couple weeks ago, four days in a row, but it always feels like it's windy. Feels like the wind's coming into you and it's hurting and it's going right. But that hole, and I'll bring it up here on the screen in a second. There's a nice flyover that we can look at, but you talk about holes that just kind of, we talk about Pete Dye courses where it mentally screws with you, right? And that's the hole that always gets me, because I could hit a bailout at a strategically placed bunker and intentionally come up short and probably have 180 in every time and play it that way. But us as golfers, we're always wanting a little more. Okay, if I can hit a cut off of that bunker. But man, when you do that, you bring a lot of trouble into play. Johnny, talk about that hole for you and just the uncomfortability it brings when you play it.
It is one of there's probably, I don't know, there's not 3 or 4 golf holes in this county that pretty much kind of terrify me there, but that's one of them that does it. And it's weird. It is, you get that wind that you don't see on the entire golf course there, and you got this tee box, and there's one that's not even in view there, that's further back. Yeah. And you can challenge it. You can hit it at the bunker, and it's about 280 from the 270 from the back tees to that bunker. But then you've got a 6-iron going in, something like that. But then you've got that larger point there that's got you can carry the water a little bit, but that wind kind of generally quarters, and it feels like it's like a fade wind, but it's more like a hurting fade wind. And then that right side of that green there, if you look short right, you miss it by 5 feet. You're in the rocks there, and you can't bail out right and long because you've got those trees. And then that chipping area to the left isn't bad. It slopes all down, but depending on where the pin's at, it's got a tier on it to where if they put the pin in on the right edge of the tier, it's hard to chip it close. So it's one of those holes that you've just got to you've got to commit to the tee shot. You've got to say, this is the club that I'm hitting, whether it's a driver, whether it's a 3-wood or hybrid. I saw when we played together, Brady. Our friend Brady hit a hybrid. I don't think he totally realized that it was kind of quartering into us. He got it to the fairway, but wouldn't have cleared the water. I hit driver, and I hit it left of that bunker that I said was 270 away, right. And it made it still had a tough shot there. I fanned it a little bit right and hit it in the water to the right. So it's one of those things that I'm going to do my damnedest. If I've got to hit driver 5-iron or driver 4-iron, and just work on it up and down. I mean, you don't want to put 6 or 7 on the card here, because with the way that angled pond is, it's going to make it a very, very difficult drop. You can't just hit a driver as hard as you can. If you hit it in the middle of the pond, then you've got to carry it like 275 yards to the green, and so then you're laying up there. So that's a great golf hole. It's not unfair in the least bit. It's just one of those ones that you've got to really think about where you want to place it, and you've got enough space, but it's one of those things that I'm sure with you, with the cut and everything, it makes you have to think, because you could probably hit driver in that bunker, right?
Right. And on a calm day, I kind of think I can aim between that short bunker on the left and that one way up and somewhere in the middle and just hit my good cut. But I also know that if I'm not swinging well and things get away from me, then I'm in that pond, and I got to drop it where in a position where you're talking about, where then it makes it a really tough 5 at that point. You can always kind of bail out left and just play down the left side a little bit more, and play for par. 3 4s would gain you, I would think, a considerable amount on the field over 3 days for sure. Zach, I had this argument about the 18th hole. 18's the only 18 and 9 are the ones that stayed in their current configuration with the nines flipping. So 18, I like a good finishing hole on a good golf course. I've argued that 18 to me is just kind of a average finishing hole. Doesn't make it necessarily easy. Where do you stand on that? Is 18 a good finishing hole at Pine Valley?
18, the one with the water down the left, and it kind
Yeah.
of curls a little around the water, and then, I mean, there are better holes at Pine Valley than 18. It's obviously the best hole to have as a finishing hole because the deck is all there and everybody can watch. And from a perspective of viewership, it's really the only hole that can be 18. It's not the best hole out there.
Yeah.
And I think that if I remember correctly, I think I hit 5 wood, 5 wood, 5 wood, and had 8 iron maybe into it. I don't think it's really that long either, is it? So
No.
I mean, you don't have to, you're not forced to hit a driver there. It's a great hole. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's a poor hole. I don't really think there's a poor hole out there, but as if you're asking me if we're wanting 18 to be the best hole on the golf course, I don't think it's the best hole on the golf course.
Fair. By the way, I also felt that last year about Autumn Ridge. I don't think I brought it up in our preview show that I don't think 18 at Autumn Ridge is a great finishing hole. I wish 9 at Autumn was 18. It would be a much more interesting finish, at least. What else about the course, Johnny, as far as any other holes or any other characteristics that might suit certain players this week?
One of the holes I can't wait to see where they put the tees. What's the short one now on the front 9? What is it? 6? Five?
Yeah.
5. Yeah, it's what, 315 yards from the very, very back tees.
Right.
Pond on the left. If you want to do the flyover on that one, that's a good one just to kind of see what it looks like there. But really, I think a lot of people are going to mostly lay up on it because that green gets really hard and there's not much of an advantage to go for it. But I think that'll be interesting to see if the tournament gets down to the wire there. If some people might pull driver, like these young guys are very, very aggressive and hit big high draws with their drivers. Really, it's like a 7-iron off the tee, and when it starts to get firm, you can just kind of hit a 8-iron there. But there's some bailout a little bit to the right there, so you could see some interesting things, I think, come the last day. I do hope they move the tees up maybe to the front of the box there on the last day, just to make it a little bit more interesting. But I think that's going to be something that's going to be pretty interesting to see, depending on who is left in it. But you do have to hit a really good drive, a big high, preferably draw, to get anything up there, and to see whether there's value in doing that and having an easier shot than a full wedge. I'm not sure, but I will certainly be laying up because I'd hit it in the middle of the pond probably on my best tee shot right now, so which is fine.
Well,
But
I don't know what driver. I mean, there's just so much trouble you can get into hitting driver. Even if you hit a good driver, there's a lot going on in that hole where I don't know what it really benefits you.
There is, but there's a lot of college kids, especially, and I'm not saying that's bad because I think a lot of the aggression that they have when playing on the golf course is a huge benefit. But a lot of them are going to say just get it as close as you can to the hole and hit it from there. And like for me, who doesn't work on my short game nearly as much as I did when I was in college and doesn't have that high flopadopoulos, flop shot that these guys can hit it on call. Someone like me, I'm gonna hit 7-iron the first day, And hopefully that's just going to be enough. That'll be short of the pond and hit my full wedge shot going in and take the chance with a putter and everything. But you're right. For what we're used to is not the case. But these college kids, I mean, these college kids will not hesitate on pulling driver just for the chance at an eagle there. But with that, and then one more thing, you just kind of asked what kind of a player would win this one. I think you got to be a good driver of the golf ball. I think you got to hit it straight. Yes, hitting it long is good, but you've got to get it in the fairway here and give yourself you got to give yourself fairway shots. You got to get tight lies to put spin on the ball because the greens are going to get firm, I'm sure. Doesn't look like we're going to get any rain this week, so I don't think that it's going to be super, super soft conditions every single day. And that rough, every time I've played the rough, every time it feels like it's hard to spin the ball, like I said earlier there, and coming around trees and angles and all that other stuff. So I'm gonna look for the guys in this field who have good strokes gain off the tee, and the greens are just sloped enough and they're everything like that. Obviously just going to come down to making putts.
The weather does look great. It's like around 82, 83 every day. Remember last year when it was, I mean, I nearly died on that second round. I was almost dead. So great weather this week. It doesn't look like rain in the forecast really any day this week. I'm going to give you guys a couple over-unders here. Over-under lowest score of the week, 66.5.
I'm going to go.
And is that a good number? I think it is.
I'm going to go over, say 67 is low. But damn, 66. That's a par 71, 5 under.
Yeah.
If I got a bet, I'm going to go over, but I don't feel good about that.
Zach, what do you think?
I'll take under.
I was kind of leaning under too, and I think it would happen day one.
I think it's going to happen day one. All guys shot what, 63 the first day, or 61 or 63 the first day.
I watched Mitch Rutledge. I had a front row seat to him shooting 63, and I think I shot 69 or 70, and just felt like I should quit the game. It was like, okay, this is. I ended up finishing. I think I finished second or third though, so I worked my way up.
Yeah, I think the way that I just remember autumn last year how gettable it was day one. I think if it's going to happen, it'll be day one, and I like a 65 or 66 day one by someone out there. Over under 213 will be the total par for the week. Over under winning score 210.5. Zach.
Under.
Okay. Zach likes scoring this week. He's going with the Lee Hodges model out there.
Ooh, the Lee Hodges. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go under.
Zach's like, who the fuck is Lee Hodges?
That's 2.5 under, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, under.
Okay.
I'm gonna go under.
Yeah, me too. I felt like that was generous. I just gave you guys that one.
I think this weather is going to be nice enough to yield some scores.
What about the Purdue Fort Wayne kids? Their home course. They know this course very well. I'm sure they play it very well. Zach, a thought on them? Do they have an inside track to one of them winning this thing?
I mean, I haven't heard Lily's name come up once, and I think he could win it just as easily as anybody in that field. So, most certainly. When you play a golf course all the time, two things can happen. You can either get really tight because you feel like you should do really well at your course and then play poorly, or you can just do what you should do, which is relax and just play the course the way that you need to. And I'm assuming that that's what they're going to do. Yeah, I would say that they have an advantage. Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and he shot that 1 under at the qualifier, and what I heard was a pretty tough day. And yeah, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be right up there at the top of the favorites, along with probably 7 to 10 other guys that really could play well and win this tournament this week.
By the way, in 2019, Pat Allgaier, he was 64 first round leader, so 7 under, and he was 8 under for the tournament, so also under that 210.5. But only 2 other guys were under par for the week. Rutledge and Logan Ryan were 3 under T2, and those are the only 3 guys under par 4 years ago. Anything else, guys? Johnny, any other thoughts or on the golf course, the field, Pine Valley? Me looking like Rob Lowe tonight. Anything?
Yeah, nice PGA Tour hat. I mean, supporting
That's
the
for Zach Fitzgerald.
The anti-live. No,
that's the support I like. Yeah, thank you, Zach.
I think there's going to be a lot of people that have a chance to win this week. The college kid, yes, but I think guys who feel comfortable on the golf course, older guys, that not in college, in other words, have just as good of a chance. You look at a course like last year, like Autumn Ridge is usually real tough course. It's longer. It's probably built a little bit more for the college kids who hit it far and can stick their irons and everything. This one is more of thinking your way around the golf course. Trying to get yourself in position, like I said. Being consistent, being patient. It's going to be it's probably my favorite event or favorite venue, I should say, for this event, because the whole thing, Pine Valley does a really good job. It's the clubhouse is nice. That area is nice. It's easy to park. It's easy to kind of get around, and it's got the deck. And the members there really embrace it and want, they do a lot. That was the first place that we had the electronic scoreboard on 18 that was live updating, which was very, very neat. So, as playing with in the Pine Valley events, sometimes they really take the tournament. They take the tournament seriously, and having Brian Straley, the president, being a member there, understanding that, and having access to these types of amenities is pretty damn cool. And we're lucky to be able to play in this event here this week, and I think hopefully a lot of people feel that way. And it's a great place to have a tournament, and I think this will be another one. Unfortunately, it's a Monday finish rather than the Sunday finish. It's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so it might get a little bit less of the crowds and everything, but it'll still be cool nonetheless. I mean, everybody still have a great time, and it'll be well run and everything like that. And I'm looking forward to it and seeing, competing in it and seeing if I can win it this year. I haven't done it yet, but like I said, this golf course doesn't really favor a certain age group, so I'm going based on the old guys have a chance to win here.
Team old guys, I like it. Yeah, Pine Valley, they last year, I think the end of last year, they finished up some renovations with a new spot where it's kind of like a little spot where the bar, it opens up, it's open air, it's really, really cool, and that opens up to the deck. So they've renovated some spots in the clubhouse that are really, really cool, really nice. So yeah, I do agree with you guys. Like the overlook, that long patio area behind 9 and 18 is really cool. It's a good spot. It's just it's just a good spot to watch people come in, have a couple drinks after the round, spout off about the pin placement on 3 or whatever. I can't believe I blew it in the water on 16. That'll probably be me. But yeah, it's just a good spot. They do it right at Pine Valley. They're good at hosting these events. So I'm with you. I'm excited. Can't wait for the week. So yeah, I think that's all we got. Unless we got anything final from Fitzgerald over there.
No, just excited that it's finally here. For me, wasn't 100% sure if I know that I was telling you for, a month and a half that I wasn't playing in this, and then when I would see Johnny, I would be like, yeah, I keep telling Phil I'm not playing in this. And he'd be like, well, are you? And I was like, yeah. But yeah, just messing with you for a little bit ever since that round at Noble Hawk. But yeah, just for me, I'm glad that I'm able to play another year of hopefully qualifying for next year's city, which is a recurring thing, probably for many of us. That I'm sure that I'm nowhere obviously close to the record. I'm sure the record is, Jesus, like 40s and 50s. But it's just nice to continuously, hopefully, qualify again, and hopefully that's the goal. And if we can hit the top 20, that's good enough for me this year. So excited to see the weather, and hopefully we have 3 good days.
What to and
Wait, wait. Well, I was just say before you asked us state of our game, you're gonna have to, before you end this, have to provide, because you've got a lot of listeners here that you work with, that you interact with, and you got to tell them how great you're playing. So when you post your numbers there and they see the scores on the FWGA.com website, they can then judge you based on your scores there. So just make sure we get this out there so
yeah.
the host, everybody knows how the host is playing.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get out of here without talking about the state of my game, because I've got about the bottom of the barrel expectations. This is the least I've ever played in any year. Shout out to all those parents out there with 2 and 3 kids with multiple activities who've been doing it for years, because this is the first year where it really ramped up for us. And I just have not played a lot of golf. So compared to last year, where I felt good about my game, I was excited about playing Autumn, a course that I know well as well, where I kind of showed at least where I was at through 2 days. I don't have those same thoughts and feelings this year. So we're talking about Zach's putting that top 20 out there. I'd be thrilled if I finished in the top 60 this year. I'd be thrilled. So we're just that's where I'm at. I'm excited to go play play the golf course, be part of it. My son really wants to be out there with me. I played with him and my other son today, actually, and so now they're really into the game, which is fun and exciting. And but he's like, hey, maybe I could caddy for you. I'm like, I don't think you know what that entails. I don't think because we were in a cart today, and I said no. I said, you want to ride around the cart? Well, yeah. I said, okay, well, that's not caddy. And I said, if you want to caddy, you'd have to carry my bag for 3 days. So I'm debating bringing him out. I still don't think he knows what it's like to be out there for 4.5 hours in a tournament round, but we'll cross that bridge later in the week. But that's where I'm at. Just excited to be part of it. I was excited not to have to qualify this year, frankly. So that I've made known public. Expectations are low, so if results are anywhere relatively decent, I will be happy.
Playing the game, the game, setting it up like you're just garbage, and then you play well.
Didn't a tour player say that recently? Like they were just playing terrible, and then I thought at the Open that they were just. Oh, it was Matt Fitzpatrick. He was saying how poorly he was playing, and he was just going to be happy to make the cut or break 80, and then he was like top 20. So going that route. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it here. Good luck this week. I hope you guys play well. Hope one of you guys contends and gets this win, and I'll just be there to congratulate you on Monday. So good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck,
best of luck, guys.
The Fort Wayne City Championship this Saturday out at Pine Valley, runs through Monday. Go check it out if you're not playing. Support everyone out there. It's a great event. Should be great weather, great golf course. All the fixings for just a great weekend ahead. So go check it out. We'll see if we can scrounge together another show this week. If not, everyone, good luck in the City Championship this weekend, and we'll catch you later.